Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. So good to be here. I'm so excited. Um, I excited about doing this 3-day workshop with everybody, and I think we have like 600 people, which is so exciting. I'm sure they're from everywhere. So I'm in great gratitude, and also Happy New Year. This is 2023, if you can believe that. And what I have heard from a few people is 2022 was a little challenging for some. So we're certainly hoping for a successful, happy, blissful 2023. But if you're here to join us today on the Intuition Playbook, I am so grateful and excited. So, whether you're a novice and you decided to sign up and go, well, this is a free class, I'm not going to let anyone know, I'm going to be in my room with a closed door and no one's going to know what I'm going to be doing. Or if you're that person that has been highly intuitive and psychic for a very long time, maybe you have your own practice, maybe you've been really delving into it over the years. No matter where you are on that spectrum, I really feel that this 3-day workshop is going to provide benefits to anyone, no matter where you are. Every time I teach this is something more that I learn as well. I also want to let you guys know behind the camera is Dana.
Hi.
So if you see me looking at her or getting some instructions, it's because she's letting me know what's going on. That's my intuition. That's live, not my gut intuition. So yeah, if this is like you're really kind of new and you're thinking, I don't know about this stuff, but I've been hearing it and it's becoming much more mainstream, that I really want to know more. It's to really put your toe in the water and experience something from a place that it can be considered very normal, everyday normal life. Also, we want to do some shout outs that I realize that we're doing, that I'm hearing from Dana. So as I stop here with my little notes, my intuition is telling me that we need some shout outs here. So who are we going to shout out to, Dana?
Well, we'll have everybody just kind of share who they are and where they're from, where they're joining from around the country and the world, and we'll let them do that and go from there. But I think we have one of your students for the solution is on, Valerie.
Hey, Miss Valerie.
So she is here, and lots of people joining.
Her intuition
still.
serves her in a really cool way, and part of that is by slot machines. I will say her intuition serves her well. So it can be used on any level of consciousness possible. Let's put it that way.
And we have Marcia, who's from Denver, Shannon, who's down in Parker, Colorado. Both of those are Colorado. If it shows your name, you have to enter your name when you join, or else I can't see your name. I just see Facebook user. But Rosie from Denver is saying hi. She's on YouTube. Diane Calhoun. Diane just signed up for your class that starts this year, the solution.
Yay, this month.
Let's see. We've got Valerie's daughter from Virginia Beach is joining in. I don't know her first name, but
that's good.
She's here. Carol Daly in Pacific Grove.
That's where Jane and I got married last October. In Silmar on the beach, just her and I.
Jenny from Denver. So thanks for joining Carla.
Hey, Miss Carla.
So we've
Carla's
got
a current student.
Yeah, Jane Ann is on YouTube. She's from Lubbock, Texas.
Somebody
from Oak Park, Illinois.
Whenever I hear the word Texas like that, I always think of the Miss America. Miss Texas. Sorry about that, but that's where I go.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. I have a dad sense of humor, so sorry if you guys are new to me. For those that have been hanging around for a while, no, and so did Dana, that sometimes
you have a great sense of humor.
Yes, well, sometimes, yeah. Any other shout outs? We're doing good. Okay, so this is our first time doing a live event again for the year. We kind of were in hibernation for December, so we're getting back to our normal. And again, this is about your intuition. The next 3 days, I'm going to share some different ways to really develop and trust your intuition, because I think the biggest thing is people want to be able to trust it. They want to understand what it means. I've been doing this work for over 2 decades, And as a medium, people have asked, like, did you always, have this ability where you were born with it? Well, bottom line, every single person is born with intuition. I call it your GPS, your guided psychic system. So you were all born with it. We just don't always recognize it or understand it or lean into it or develop the muscle. So just as if you are a novice at this or you're a highly sensitive, intuitive individual, it's working that muscle. So we imagine that maybe you have workout equipment at home or you have a membership at a gym. If you don't utilize that equipment, the muscles begin to get soft. And it's just like your intuition. If you're not working those muscles and you're not strengthening them, then you sort of use the ability to utilize them on your everyday life. And so if you are highly sensitive and intuitive and you've been doing it, it's strengthening that muscle even deeper. And it is designed to help you get through your path in life. We are born to be able to manage what happens to us. And we look at animals and babies, especially young children that are 3 and 5 and 6 and 7, they intuitively know stuff like something doesn't feel right. But as society, we begin to make them not trust that anymore. We ask them to say, no, you need to do it this way. So society has decided what is acceptable and what isn't. So your GPS, your guided psychic system, that muscle is no longer utilized. And so it's redeveloping that, bringing it back in and using it so that you can use all the muscles and tools that you have. And it's realizing that if you go by what other people tell you to do, that's their GPS. That is their guided psychic system. I would not be sitting here talking to all of you if I listened to what society or family said I should or should not be doing. And being a psychic would not be on their priority list. So your intuition is for you. And basically, one size doesn't fit all. It fits you. That's it. It fits you. So what happens is that we look for other people's approval. We look for other things to help guide us versus how we are aligned. And when you're trying to manifest and you're trying to create really wonderful things in your life, if you're going by outside belief systems versus what your intuition's telling you, it's going to be really a challenge. You're not going to be able to create and manifest what you are desiring and putting out to the universe. We have a tendency to think that getting approval from others is that we're doing the right thing. Intuition isn't about popularity. It's not about getting likes on your Instagram. It's a guidance to help you through your journey in life. And all of us can look back in life and have some regrets or moments and times where we thought, wow, I should have done something differently. I just felt this. And we know those experiences we can reflect on, and it's there. It doesn't mean that we failed or we can't get it back, but it's a reminder that we sometimes go with what is acceptable by society versus what our intuition is telling us. So as long as your feet are on this planet and you're here to learn lessons, we will repeat certain lessons. And so it's taking what we know and always reflecting on what our intuition is, what are we learning, and to go from our heart and soul about what it is that we are desiring. I think too, we see other people having maybe success or they look happy, and we're thinking that that might fit us. And so we try to replicate that, but we know in our soul, like, I really don't feel like that's where I want to go. My parents want me to be an accountant because that's safe and there's always a job, versus your thoughts are, I really want to take the journey and I want to travel. I want to be an artist. I want to do something different. Maybe a relationship. You're not ready to start a family, and people are saying to you, "Oh, don't wait too long. You're getting older." All those things are society's kind of the negative talk that keeps us from really listening to our intuition. So what we're going to talk about for this hour is how to really get back into the swing of things, how to trust that intuition, how to turn it back on. And what you want to do, first of all, is stop asking other people for their opinions, because they're going to tell you what they feel. And remember, this is about you listening to yourself. It's going back into that quietness sometimes that we forget to do. And I think a lot of people in my line of work say, well, you just need to meditate, you need to quiet the mind. And I'm not going to argue with that, but I will tell you, That's really hard for a lot of people. And sometimes we don't find the time, or we are frustrated we didn't get the quietness, or we get uncomfortable when we're sitting there like, oh, this hurts. I need to get things done. So I never really recommend that you start off developing your intuition again, or reopening that by just doing meditation. If you can, and it has been a practice for you, then continue it. But you may want to go deeper. Again, we want to make sure that wherever you are on this journey of intuition, is to use that muscle and work it a little bit deeper. So it's really paying attention. You may have turned off your intuition or stopped listening to it. That subtle kind of thing that we feel in our stomach, maybe the butterflies, we get the goosebumps, any of kind of those emotional feelings that we have. However, the universe didn't stop giving you signs. And that's the difference, is there's signs around us continually. What happens is that we start looking at, we're on our phones, we're busy looking at what we need to get done. We're not paying attention to the world around us. And the universe is speaking to you all the time. And people think, oh my goodness, this just happened. When you start really paying attention, the universe is communicating with you. It's constantly tapping you on the shoulder, kind of having this, this blaring kind of message to you. But we turn it off because we get focused on what society wants. Are we getting approval? We go into our fears. We're worried, this constant worry. And your intuition doesn't work with worry. It's allowing yourself to, what I always call, let it marinate. Let whatever you're worried about marinate, instead of making a decision right away or thinking about it. Sometimes waiting for certain signs to come through to help validate the direction you go. Whether you are an experienced intuitive, or again, you're a novice, I always say, keep it simple, sweetie. I call it KISS. You want to start out by using just very simple things to redevelop your intuition. So if you are, wanting to run or lift weights or begin walking, you're not going to walk 10 miles or lift 100 pounds. You're going to start small. And that's the same way that you're going to develop your intuition muscle. You're going to use very small steps, baby steps, basically, so that you can begin to build and remember what it feels like. Because we forget, even though we have those aha moments where we're like, oh my goodness, wasn't that really cool? So you're going to go back to basics, and you're going to go back to make it very simple. If you're that person that has experienced this for a long time and you're developing it, I'm still going to encourage you to kind of go back to this place of simplicity. And it's a little bit of fun to test the waters again with your intuition and say, I'm just going to see if I can get messages around A, B, and C and see what I get. Especially, I believe, in the beginning of the new year. We're manifesting throughout the year, but I think the new year is sort of that rebirth, that new beginning of, what do I want to do this year? How do I want it to look? How do I want it to be, find happiness? And bottom line, your intuition is to help you develop your happiness, to develop your purpose, to understand the direction that you need to go. Your intuition is a guidance. It's not here to tell you exactly what to do, what you need to do, what you should be doing. It's guiding you. So you may think, well, what if I don't listen? Or what if this is a mistake? Or what if I do it wrong? Your intuition isn't here to tell you to steal money from a bank or to hurt somebody. It's always about the higher good. So your intuition is about what you need, and it might be creating boundaries or having a voice or being seen, or maybe stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that would be different. If you're looking for a relationship and there's fear around it, how do you use your intuition to develop those things? So that's what you use it for. And what I've learned is, when I'm following my intuition and I feel like, no, this is where I need to go, it's sort of my head, and we'll talk about that probably tomorrow or the next day, about how part of our head goes into the story, or it goes into, the negativity of the fear. And so how do we shut that down so we trust that simple things that we're getting as our intuition? They're there to give you simplicity. They're not there to make the story really big. We have our own story. We like to tell our story. And a lot of times we don't trust our intuition because we have the story of our past. Well, The story of your past is a lesson. Write it down as a lesson. And don't live in that story anymore. Intuition is about, okay, it's time to move on, tell another story. So the first thing you want to do then is start paying attention. Start looking at what the universe is telling you. And I wrote some things down, so I just want to make sure I don't forget any of them. But what you want to do is start paying attention to how you feel every day. So if you have a journal, awesome. If not, put it in your phone. If you have a sticky note, I don't want it to be a lot of work. But if you get up in the morning and you're like, boy, something doesn't feel right, you may not know what that is, but write it down and just kind of say, something doesn't feel right. Oh, geez, I have so much energy. I'm feeling like on top of the world. Wow, this feels really good. It may not have validation that day, but within a couple of days, you may get something. You go, yeah, I've had this gut feeling. And we've all had it. Don't tell me like, oh, I didn't experience that. We've all said, yeah, something didn't feel right. As a matter of fact, Dana, we were watching the football game yesterday where the football player, was it Baltimore game?
He was a Buffalo Bill player.
And he collapsed on the field, and they didn't know if he was hit. And Danny goes, I feel like it's his heart. I mean, it was his heart. Well, today it came through on the news that he did have cardiac arrest. So again, our intuition's there all the time. That little radar that's out there, picking up stuff. I know something. I feel something. Okay. Oh, yeah. She told me a story to remind myself. Sorry, this is Dana helping me with my intuition. Yeah, I'll tell you about the story. So this was a couple of years ago. I woke up feeling exactly so. I just felt something wasn't right. I'm like, am I getting something? Am I getting the flu? I think this was even when COVID was around. And I'm like, God, feeling really sad. And Dana goes, get up. You're going to go with me on some errands. I'm like, I don't want to go. Let me do. So I get up and go with her. And we're driving around. And I said, let's just go to our little pizza place and, have a piece of pizza and a glass of wine and da-da-da. I said, I just hope it's not a shooting. This was around 2:00. And all of a sudden, the news came. The news was that there was a shooting in Boulder at the King Soopers. Exactly the time I said, I hope there's no shooting. Unfortunately, people feel that the negativity is always a fear-based thing. And yes, I'm highly sensitive. I get paid to use my intuition. So I am going to feel it at a different level. Am I going to feel every shooting around the world? No, but this is very close. We have friends there. We have people, the kids are in school up there. So there's a connection. And so there's those times where but there's also times where you just feel that sense of bliss. And that sense of bliss is always good news too, things that are happening. And it may not be personal with you, but it's happening around the world in some level. Like we're like, yes, let's be cheerleaders. So again, that's where you want to pay attention, write it down, and then start seeing and writing down, if you can, what you felt and what it meant. They may be small. It may be you feel teary-eyed. Maybe you have a headache. Whatever that feels like, write it down and see. And if it's really serious, go to your doctor, of course. Don't always feel it's intuition. Pay attention to what you see. Like I said earlier, I see people on their phone constantly. And I know I'm I do that as well because it's part of what we have in society. We look down, we're on our phones, we're attached to it, but the universe is communicating everywhere. So if you're seeing numbers out there or you're seeing animals to me are a fabulous way to get a message. If you're reading an article or an advertisement, anything, or someone saying something, and you hear a song, all of those are small messages. Even if you begin to get a feather that shows up out of the blue. I remember Dana and I one time were sitting in the kitchen and we were talking about a grandmother, and from the ceiling, a white feather just came down. Now that was pretty obvious, but the universe is giving you symbols. Google will be your friend. Google is your friend. This is another reason to go back to your phone. But what you're realizing is if you start seeing something randomly that would normally not be in your peripheral, or that's something that you would say, like, that's unusual, Google it and see what the spiritual meaning of that is. It is amazing the messages you can get. So if you're not hearing your guides or hearing the information and you feel like you want to develop those tools, you're going to hear it in many different ways. Sometimes it's hysterical. You're thinking of something and then a song will come on and the song is related to your situation. We've all had that experience. It is your intuition, your guides, the universe saying, hello, hello. Are you paying attention? What's coming to mind too is what you don't want to do is keep testing the universe, like, show me again, show me again, show me again. It's really that trusting of, you got a sign, lean into it, follow through, and see where it goes. The more you begin to take action with that intuition, the more that muscle works, and the more you're going to start paying attention and feeling and seeing and knowing things. You're like, wow, it'll become your new normal. And isn't that what you're trying to do? Is make that your new normal. You're going back to when you were born. You were born with your intuition. You were born with your own GPS. The only difference is that you turned that off, you turn down the sound, you stop using that muscle. So now you're going to develop that muscle again. Colors. Paying attention to colors. Colors of the chakra, colors of energy, what's out there. Let's say, for instance, you're driving and you hit every red light. It may be the universe saying you need to slow down. Maybe you need to stop moving forward. Maybe you need to stop thinking about what you're doing, because we can regurgitate an issue over and over and over, and the universe is telling you to stop. They cannot communicate with you if you're regurgitating. Sometimes we get hooked on a particular idea, thought, and I've done this where I'm just spinning energy around and around and around. It's like someone talking nonstop, and you can't interrupt to give them any piece of advice, any grace, any kind of assistance, because they're nonstop talking. You want to be able to listen to that. So if you're hitting all the stoplights, if you're not able to get through to someone on the phone, if everything you're getting seems to make you stop, then you need to sit and listen. If you're getting all those green lights and you're getting people paying attention and you're feeling this calmness, maybe perhaps it's okay to move forward and take that leap that you've been thinking about. So again, pay attention. The signs are there. They are trying to tell you, to give you that validation outside of your own body and soul. This seems very simple, but to breathe throughout the day, I even have a watch that tells me that I've been sitting too long to stand up, or to breathe, or to be mindful. We need reminders. So again, if you are a person that has been highly intuitive and been using this skill for a long time, it's those reminders. I know I can get into my place too, and it's to sit back and breathe. What am I listening to? What's happening to me? And I think the breathing also makes you sit back and helps your body to realign. We shallow breathe so much, and so when we do that, we're not using our entire soul or being to be able to be that radar antenna to connect with the universe, because it's all right here. So the more that your body's relaxed, the more that you're able to tune into it, you're going to feel things throughout your body that maybe your guides or your intuition, whatever muscles need to be working, are talking to you, which is really cool. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those opportunities throughout the day. You go, okay, a lot's going on. I got that phone call. Something's going on. I'm going to go home and have to deal with something. Take those deep breaths. Maybe you'll get a thought when you take those deep breaths. Write it down. And then on the way home, you're like, yeah, I just need to slow down. I need to not have to settle the issue right away. Maybe it's just time for everyone to settle down and think about it before we jump to it, because we are designed, or a lot of us, is to fix something that's broken. We want to problem solve, and we want to have a solution. What do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. It's the same with intuition. Just because you are wanting to have the answer right away. I think about our TV on demand. We have a society that is fast paced. Oh, I want to go through the drive-through. I want to get the answer. My internet's not fast enough. I want to watch the show. I want everything right there. The universe works a little bit differently. And the breathing and taking a few moments is going to allow your body to hear and tune into it. I'm kind of getting the visual of some of you that are too young, but when there was 3 channels and we have those rabbit ears with a tinfoil, trying to connect with the frequency. And that's what you're doing with your body. You're trying to find that frequency. And if it's a intense question, or you're worried about what to do next, it may not come on demand. It might take a little bit for you just to process and really think about, is your intuition, is your questions about how to control such a situation? Is it out of fear? Is it about controlling other people? Or is it about what you need to learn and understand about the situation? So, the way you ask questions about your intuition is also very important, because I don't really see any psychics winning the lottery winning the lottery. It doesn't come through like that. The information comes through as guidance. And we can't hear it if we have all this noise going on, or we want to control, or if we're in this fear, or we're in a panic, or we want to solve an issue for somebody else. Remember that their GPS is different than yours. So, what you want to do is, again, come back, breathe, write, reflect to figure out what information you need and how appropriate it is for timing. Everything is about the timing when it comes to the information that comes through. It may not come through right away. How many of us at times will, in the middle of the night, wake up and go, I got the idea? Or you're distracted in doing something and the idea comes to solve a problem. That's because you weren't so fixated on the problem. You allowed it to have some time to, what I call, marinate, to sit, to be able to unfold a little bit, so that you're not in that panic mode trying to figure out how to solve the problem. Take a break, walk outdoors, look at things differently. Humor is one of my favorite things. Those things are going to allow your body to surrender and relax, so the information can come through, versus in that panic. It is so difficult to talk to anybody that's in a feeling of panic. So think about the universe trying to communicate with you if you're in that place. If you're in a place of panic, you're in a place of unrest, it is going to be very difficult for you to hear. And then if you hear anything, are you going to trust it? So that's why the breathing is vital, for you to be able to relax and hear the information and pay attention to your surroundings. It's always there. It's right there all the time. This is a big one. And especially if you are a person of routine, or you've been doing your intuitive work for a long time, do something different, make a change. Big, big one. I don't care if you begin to wear different colors, or you find a different hairstyle, different types of jewelry, drive to a different place to work, eat at a different restaurant, order some different kind of food, read a book that you normally wouldn't read. If you're not used to certain movies or whatever, watch something different. Part of it is, we can't pay attention if we're seeing the same thing over and over. We're not going to see anything new. We're going to see the same thing and not be able to be aware of what is bigger out there. So if you have this comfort level of, well, this is how I like to live my life, and I'm very comfortable and I feel safe, that is a life you desire. That is a mundane life that you want, and your intuition doesn't need to be used, because you just want to do the same thing. You want what's that safe, kind of controlled environment. That's okay to have if that's what resonates and feels good for you. But if you're wanting to develop your intuition and you're wanting to live a life with full potential, or figure out what all these lessons are for, or what your purpose is, your intuition means that you have to, not have to, but it's important to bring in a little bit more fun, a little, go to a store and shop for something that you would normally not have conversations with people that you normally wouldn't have conversations with. They're going to bring something to the conversation that is going to be like, oh, I needed to hear that. And we've all said that, oh, I needed to hear that. Going to even a different grocery store, the way it's set up, it might be set up so much differently, and you're frustrated with where to find things, but you may run across something or see something that you normally would not have. That's the universe communicating. That's your intuition stretching. That's that muscle that says, oh, guess what? I'm going to stretch this muscle called my intuition that's sort of been in the storage room for a really long time. So all of these really simple things are going to help develop your intuition. When I'm in a place where I'm like, I really need to stretch that muscle, it's going back to those basics. I'll pull out some fun cards. We'll watch something different. It's just doing things that take me out of my own little world to be able to experience something bigger. And that's how we become educated. That's how we hear different messages. That's how the universe goes, oh, finally, I can talk to you in a different way. And this is the way to think about it. If you're in a situation and you keep telling somebody what you need from them, and they are not making any changes, and you're saying the same thing, but then they hear it differently from somebody else and they go, oh, I get it. That's what I'm talking about. Is sometimes we hear it a little bit differently. It's got a little twist to it, and then it makes sense. And that's because we get used to hearing in a particular way, and our brain just becomes on autopilot. So we hear it a different way, and all of a sudden it's like, now this makes sense. That's what you want to do with your intuition, is give it some spice, give it some juice, give it some variety of looking at things a little differently. Your intuition has been with you, like I said, since you were born. Through life, we either utilize it or we don't, we dispose of it. And so it's learning that intuition, psychic ability is not a horrible thing that people think. It is basically using every part of your soul that helps you. So if you think about, if you decided to tie one hand behind your back and go throughout your day, if you were born with two hands, you know how much easier it is to use both. That's your intuition. You're using all the pieces and parts of you. You're using everything that you were born with to be able to manage yourself through life. The intuition, your psychic abilities aren't to have superpowers or to control other people. It's to have a sense of peace, that what you're doing is how you were designed. It was to show you that when you showed up here, it's like, oh, yeah, this feels right. This feels to me that this is my purpose. That it's okay to leave this job, or it's okay to make a change in my life. We sometimes are taught in life to suck it up, don't rock the boat. You're lucky that you have a job, you have a relationship, or whatever the stories are. But your intuition is really about your design to be happy and to find peace and to be able to get the clarity when there are challenges and how to deal with them in a different way than how you were taught. And not that society is a horrible thing or a bad thing, because society can be really great with what we're blessed with, what society brings to each of us. But at the same time, if you're feeling restless or not feeling content or not feeling a sense of peace, it's pulling out that muscle again and developing it so that you can begin to pay attention and listen, and that you can listen to your heart and soul and know that it's possible to create and manifest a life that you really have been thinking about or considering. For some people, they may think, I don't even know what I want. And that's okay. It's just getting back to listening to how you feel and then going from there. Does that make some sense? As we continue in the next few days, one of the things that people want to know is, what's the difference between fear and trust? And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, because, like I said, when your body feels fear, does it always mean a horrible thing? Sometimes our bodies just feel fear because it's an emotion. But the more that you practice your intuition and you do it on a smaller scale and build it, like I said, when you're lifting weights, you're building those muscles, you'll understand the differences. You'll be able to tune in and go, this fear is not mine, or yes, I don't feel good, but maybe it's this. And so you're able to decipher that, and you're learning that language again. You're building that language. What I will tell you is, teaching this over the years, as people develop and bring back their intuition, there's a sense of joy and comfort. And I also feel like sometimes there's confidence, and they're less worried about what people think, how people judge them, because they know that their GPS is for them and they need to follow this, because in the years past they didn't. And what happens when we go back to our past, we can reflect on those patterns to realize that we were learning. That's all it was. And now we're learning with the cheat sheet, basically. We have some tools to help us go, you know what? I don't think I want to do this, or yeah, this feels right for me. And that's what you want to develop. You want to be able to know and trust with that confidence. And that's what it does. It builds that confidence back. But do you have something that you want to share? Or if people have questions?
There's a couple of questions.
Sure.
And I know you're going to share an exercise for them to do.
Well, those exercises I was talking about with those 5 things, but we'll go back to this a little bit more too.
So let's see here. I don't have a name, but I always feel like I'm thinking too hard about trying to tune into my intuition, for instance, while meditating. I can't tell if it's my own thoughts or something I'm getting from the universe. How do I get out of my head?
Absolutely. This is why I didn't say meditation is an exercise. I didn't think meditation is number one, because our thoughts don't stop. Our brain is not designed. I mean, I always say monks can think of nothing because there's no children, no spouse, no job, no bills. So there's nothingness in there. Having your own thoughts is okay. And what we're going to talk about in the next 2 days is how to turn off that left brain versus the right brain. And we actually name it. But your own thoughts are okay. Journal, keep writing. And then if your own thought says, this is how I'm feeling, then ask the universe to show you validation. So that's what I was saying. As you pay attention, the exercise is to pay attention to your surroundings. Are you seeing a different animal? Are you hitting only red lights? Did someone say something that you're like, oh, I was just thinking that yesterday, and you just validated? That's how you know it's your guides, because it will sound like your voice most of the time. It doesn't come through like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. It's a very gentle kind of feeling. So test the waters for sure.
Let's see here. So Claire is asking, I feel everyone else's energy. How do I know the difference between that and my intuition?
Okay. So people that are highly sensitive have a tendency to be sponges and absorb everybody's energy. And what you want to learn, I don't do the white light thing. What I say is you need to create some boundaries. There's probably a good chance in your life that you're always trying to problem solve and help everybody else. When you do that, it's going to be where your intuition is saying, oh, this is what your muscle's doing. Your muscle is trying to help everybody else. Try not to be able to be the advisor for everybody else. I call it stay in your own lane. The more you're able to say, that's not my stuff, and begin to practice and shutting that down, you'll be able to know it's your stuff. But at the same time, sometimes people are mirroring what we need to know. So if you're going through a time in your life where you're feeling exhausted and you feel that you're not being valued or heard, if you're with people that are feeling that and you're picking that up, it's probably also what you're trying to learn. So you're trying to decipher, is it mirroring, or are you not having good boundaries by saying, their stuff is not yours to take on? The more you practice that muscle and say, I don't want to go there, that's what you're going to see the shift. So people will ask me like, well, if I'm at the grocery store, do you pick up on people? No, it's none of my business. So it's practicing that. It's stay in your own lane. It's not your stuff. Leave it alone. When you go in and you're around people, go make the intention. It's not mine. It's not mine. And it takes practice if you're sensitive. But you want to see if it's also a mirror. Any other questions? Nope, that's good. So the exercises to do is, how do you feel in the morning? Every time you get up or throughout the day, write it down.
So throughout the day, between today and tomorrow, write it down.
Write it down in those few days. Pay attention to signs. Quit looking at your phone. Quit looking down at stuff. Look around your surroundings. See what people are saying. If you're walking up to a checkout line and those magazines have something on it, if there's something that sticks out, pay attention to that. And then start asking simple questions. If you want to know how your guides are working, like I think I wrote down some simple questions about how to looking at numbers too. So when you want to ask a question in the beginning or at any time, if you go into it like, should I divorce and move? You may want to start smaller. Like, is there a class or book that will help me make a really good decision regarding this relationship? Start off small. Numbers. If you're into numbers by any means, numerology. Look up the spiritual meaning of numbers. Numbers are everywhere. When you wake up, when you look at the clock, when you get a receipt, what something costs. If those numbers keep coming up, see what that message means, because the universe is trying to say hello, hello, and we keep ignoring it. What I hear is like, oh, I keep getting that number. What is the message? And so many of us know what we need to do, but we don't always do it. We know how much water we need to drink. We know we're supposed to exercise, get so much sleep. We know these things, but we can tune it out and give a reason for it. Your intuition, exactly the same. The messages are around you. Are you paying attention? And are you taking action? For the seasoned people that are on here maybe today that have been using their intuition for a long time, the question to ask yourself is, what are you doing with your intuition? Are you just really in a comfortable place? Are you doing something more with it? Are you still in the closet, not telling anybody you're intuitive? What is it that still brings you to all this, but then are not exercising that? Or what is it on a deeper level that you could learn with your intuition? Because in my opinion, we're here to learn and become enlightened. And if you stay stagnant, if you do the same thing over and over, you're not developing that insight. And that's what intuition is for. Intuition is for your insight, for the clarity, to help you, to guide you without guilt and shame. What can happen is when we get our intuition and we don't follow it, a lot of times it's because we feel guilty, or we feel that, oh, what will people think? Or what if I do that, then people are going to think I'm selfish. All that talk that goes on in our head, instead of going, I know the feeling, I need to do this, and how do I do it with grace? The other thing about intuition is allowing yourself time to nurture it. Because sometimes we want results right away. And it's the same thing that I'm comparing it to when you are exercising and developing muscles and developing the time to walk and exercise. It takes a little bit of time. Think of that muscle as being aligned with your intuition. So allowing yourself to find different ways to listen to that. Most of the time, our intuition is very subtle. It doesn't yell at us, but the universe doesn't stop and just give us one opportunity. It will give us continuous opportunities to listen until we decide we're not going to take that advice. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you won't have another opportunity. It is designed for other opportunities to show up, for us to try again. And I think this is a very interesting way to say it. Love my guides. If you've been living your life without really depending on your intuition, and you've made it this far, to go into fear about doing it wrong or not listening, you will make better choices, and you will have a sense of gratitude and peace by bringing in your intuition and developing it, because it is aligned with your soul. It's aligned with helping you find so many different things to make your life easier. And think about the times that we've tried to help somebody to make their lives easier and they've resisted. They still turned out okay because they wanted to do it their own way. So your intuition isn't saying you're doing it right or wrong. Your intuition is saying, I can make it easier if you choose to use it and choose to know that it's okay, and that if you don't get approval, if you don't get a bunch of likes, you're still going to be happy and successful. Your happiness isn't based on what everybody else thinks. Happiness comes from, we always say, within. But the intuition is not about popularity. It's not about making society happy. It's really what you were wired to accomplish, what you were wired to understand in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. So it is one of the most fabulous tools that you can utilize. It's just up to you whether you want to listen or not. Right?
Right. So a couple questions.
Sure.
What are signs?
Okay.
Some specific examples of signs. So when they pay attention over the next day, they...
And signs are... In the eyes of the beholder, I'll say. So, like I said, if you keep hitting every red light, consider it a sign. If you hit every green light, consider it a sign. If you're seeing the numbers, those are signs. If someone tells you something, but other times it's just, um, you know, that little voice in your head. Or I know the other day I was asked a question and I had to ponder on it and I didn't have an answer yet. And I watched a TV show that all of a sudden gave me the answers. It's being open to how it shows up. If you're in a business meeting and someone says something randomly and you're like, oh, I needed to hear that. It may not be for the entire group. It might be one or two words or thoughts or things that are said that just make sense to you. If advertisements are big, they can come through and start talking about a book or a class or maybe a job opportunity that says, I need to look at this. I'm thinking about going back to school, and all of a sudden you start getting these advertisements that show up that are all about going back to school. It doesn't mean it has to be in that educational system or in that field, but it's letting you know to start searching, start paying attention. And I think when you are just less focused on this and you wake up, you can see the signs.
Signs, animals,
Oh, yeah.
all of that.
All of that. It's always there. And people think, is every bird or every feather a sign? No, but do you need 20 to say, oh, it's a sign? Sometimes it's like, oh, I saw a feather. Maybe I need to think about someone's okay, or I need to make a phone call. Think about this. Sometimes we'll get a gut feeling about someone that we haven't thought about in a while, and we call them and we hear maybe their name. Maybe we haven't heard their name in a while or haven't called them, and all of a sudden someone's name is that. You have a client or a customer or someone's name on a show that is that name, and you go, yeah, I need to give them a call. And you find out that they've been going through a lot, or there's a celebration. There are things out there that are tapping on our shoulder. It's just whether we want to listen or not and take action. Did you have another question? No? Okay.
No, just, yeah. It's great.
I think one of the things I teach is called KISS, Keep It Simple, Sweetie. It's not that complicated. I think people make it more complicated. And what I say is, it's not, don't be constipated when it comes to your intuition. It doesn't have to be where someone busts through the door, singing you a song that makes you feel like, aha. It might be simple as someone loaning you a book, or just that feeling that this is what I need to do. And the more you follow that intuition, the more you listen to those signs, the more you pay attention, it is the normal that you will feel. It just, sometimes we want that proof right in front of us, that hard proof. And that's not how intuition works. It is a very subtle energy. And that's why people meditate, is to quiet that energy so that they can hear. But I feel like meditation is practicing to be aligned and to be quiet, so that throughout the day, you can take those deep breaths, you can center, and when you need to hear a message, you can go back to that space so that the information comes. And it might be where someone says something and you're going, I needed to hear that today. Yes, and you may not need to say it out loud. Things come in three many times, so you may hear something 3 times to go, how many times do I have to ask that same question? If you're looking for the burning bush, or you're looking for, something to completely reveal itself in a way that, it's Hollywood or TV, I think it'd scare you to death. So look for the subtleties. Look for something that is just a quietness. And this is why paying attention to your body and breathing throughout the day and having your eyes off your phone, things like that, you're going to hear stuff. You're going to know. It's going to show up. And I believe that everyone on this class is probably had those moments in time. What you're just doing is creating multiple moments of those. You're not just creating random ones. You're creating an intention for that communication to be there as often as you need, not just occasionally. That's the difference of turning up that muscle so that it is activated on a continuous basis, not just once in a while. That's the difference of bringing in and developing your intuition, your GPS. Okay? I want to tell everyone thank you for joining us today for the
What are we talking about tomorrow?
Fear versus trust.
Same time,
Yeah.
same place.
So what's fear? What's trust? And a lot more about that. Because what I just said too is you may have had it randomly happen to you. We're just having you learn how to do it continuously. Whenever you need it, it's like on demand. You're having your intuition on demand. That's the difference. So join us tomorrow. Thank you so much. This has been fabulous. I enjoy reminding myself about all this because even though I do it for a living, it's still a reminder of pay attention, because I do at times become human in my own stuff. So we hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Same time, same channel, on demand.